I had enough money for rent, but not to heat my apartment. I've been curled up on my bed for days under every scrap of fabric I own. My last job paid some bills, but also ruined my left hand. I only got feeling back days after all my other cuts healed. The freezing cold of my apartment didn't help. Freeze to death, or die by some sort of monster? Every day I had a terrible choice to make. I hadn't eaten a decent meal in a while as well. I looked through some regular job postings, desperate to find one that would accept someone who hadn't finished high school. No such luck. I then went to my email to find one of the less dangerous requests. I had tried to leave my contract work behind. Here I thought I had a choice in living a normal life. I nearly starved to death in the past 2 years, and not making a dent in my debt from picking the normal route. I settled on a somewhat simple request. A great number of animals had started to disappear near an abandoned mine. All sorts of critters like to take over places like that. The job offer was to report back any information on what sort of creature lurked in the darkness. A very heavy bonus was offered to anyone who could kill this mystery monster. A few bucks for taking some photos of supernatural activity and then getting the hell out of there? I could do that. A bit of dread came over my stomach the moment I replied to the email. Deep down, I knew this wouldn't be so easy. Nothing ever was. At least, this time, I was sent in front of the mine instead of needing to hike through the woods. The corporation often used magic to transport people to job sites. Magic was seriously useful. It's a shame humans can't handle it the same way supernatural creatures could. I bought a new coat and boots from my last job. I wanted to get a fancy supernatural floating light, but of course, I couldn't afford one. I stuck to a simple flashlight instead. I shouldn't come across any members of the public, so I rented out a machete as a weapon for this job. I wasn't looking forward to another cave after the last job. I shuddered in the cold wind that drove me inside the opening of the mine. If my luck held, I could snap a photo or two and then head home. I wasn't an elite trained monster hunter. Best to leave the big creatures to the agents who are always in demand. The air inside was strangely warm. I kept one hand hovering over the handle of my weapon as I scanned the area with my flashlight. My skin crawled, thinking back to the skeleton monsters. For the first few feet, there hadn't been any signs of any living creatures inside the mine. Doing these sorts of jobs was much easier with a partner. My chest hurt as I heard only my footsteps echoing in the small space. I was lucky my legs could still support my weight. I really needed to eat more if I was going to keep up with the contract work. A fork in the pathway caused me to pause. I listened to any sounds giving me a hint as to where to go. A small sound of rippling water came from the right path. Most creatures needed to drink water like the rest of us. I followed the sound, the back of my neck starting to sweat from stress. I came into an open area so wide my flashlight couldn't reach fully into the darkness. A few deep scratches had been carved into the floor. Tracing my fingers over the marks, I tried to figure out what kind of animal or monster made these marks. 4 lines, thin cuts deep into the rock. No signs of blood, but there was discoloration in the dirt on the floor. I squinted at the trail, realizing something had been dragged deeper into the mine. There weren't any tracks or footprints to give away who or what had done the dragging. A rock came loose somewhere, causing me to jump. I directed my flashlight across the floor, looking for the source of the disturbance. Another small rock fell, this time landing in front of my feet. I brought my beam of light upwards to the ceiling. Far too late. 8 eyes reflected the light down. My hand grabbed the handle of the machete at my side, but I wasn't fast enough to act. The massive creature dropped down on me, a set of needle-sharp fangs digging into my shoulder. My entire body was locked up. I couldn't even scream. For a few seconds, I could blink my eyes, so I forced them open to get a good look at what just got the jump on me. It was a spider the size of a car. I took in the shape and patterns to try and identify what type of supernatural creature it was. When I felt my eyelids locking up, I forced them shut. The creature got to work wrapping my body tightly in thick webbing. The constant spinning as it bound my arms made my stomach roll. Then I was knocked over to be dragged along the floor to who knows where. After a long while of painful dragging, I felt myself lifted off the ground. More of the threads were added to stick the creature's new meal to the cave wall. I was thankful that the massive spider forced the webs on my torso and mostly spared my face. It might know not to suffocate its prey if it wanted a fresh meal. My shoulder throbbed in pain and my body hurt like hell from whatever I'd been injected with. The only good news was I was almost certain I knew what kind of monster attacked me. Humans make pets out of anything. Some creatures take advantage of that. On occasion, a supernatural spider egg will appear in a batch with otherwise normal eggs, but only if humans are the ones breeding and taking care of the spiders. For the first few months, the spider appears normal, but then it will grow at a rapid rate, soon escaping to devour small animals out in the wild. There are a few theories of why this happens. However, so far no one has been able to agree on the reason. If this was that kind of spider, I was in luck. Their venom isn't overly harmful to humans. It should work its way out of my system in an hour or so. People guessed that the spiders didn't want to kill the humans raising them, so they evolved to not be able to take them out with a single bite. I was dealing with a huge spider though. Those legs could crush me if they wanted. Just because I could move an hour after I was bitten didn't mean I was in the clear. When I could feel my fingers again, I wriggled, testing my binds. I slowly opened my eyes, surprised to see some light inside the rocky space. Looking down, I saw an abandoned flashlight that was not mine, casting shadows across the wall. This place was where the spider stored its food. I saw so many smaller bundles of webbing stuck to the wall. All appeared to have long since dead animals inside. I tried to look upwards to see anything else. I did notice a larger bundle above my head, but I wasn't able to fully see it. I thought I saw a pair of shoes through the webbing. I had hoped that only myself had been dragged into this mess. I kept wiggling, which turned out to be a mistake. The spider was cheap when it came to webbing. I came loose off the wall, my stomach in my throat as I fell headfirst towards the floor. My skull wasn't hard enough to take a hit to the stone floor at this height. Something caught around my ankles in the last seconds. I jerked upwards and then started to spin as I hung from a single lifeline. I let out a long breath, surprised I didn't scream. Just as I recovered, a bundle of webbing fell off the cave wall the same way as I did. They were caught by their ankles as well. I let out a small sound of shock from expecting any movement to be the spider monster, ready to finish me off. When our spins synced up, I made eye contact with a person I never expected to see again. What a coincidence. We spoke at the same time, our voices echoing down the mine shaft. We kept slowly spinning. When I knew the spider wasn't coming and we were facing each other for a few seconds, I spoke again. "How's Lucas doing?" I asked the upside-down August. "Oh, he's great. He made a friend at daycare," he replied, his smile not matching our situation. I let us slowly spin in silence. August being here was a huge help. He wasn't human, and I bet getting through these webs would be easy for him. But how did he get caught in the first place? When we came back around, I got a good look at his face. He was chipper, but looked exhausted. Dark bags under his eyes and his cheeks showed he'd lost some weight. "What are you doing here?" I asked him. "I've been taking a lot of jobs lately. Lucas seems like he might want to be an artist when he grows up," August explained. "So, you're saving for college?" I said, a little shocked. I swear, this guy treated this boy better than any human in his life. I didn't know much about what happened to Lucas before August took him in, but I doubted his real parents spent the money to feed him, let alone plan for his future. Yes, if that's what he wants. I also need to save enough so he's set for life if he becomes an artist. Shit is expensive. I agreed with him on that. It was hard to believe the man I'd seen eat someone's brain out of their skull was a better parent than most. August would let Lucas chase his dreams, but also have a backup in case that career choice didn't pay the bills. If my mother was even half as responsible as August, I wouldn't have become a contract worker hunting down monsters. At the very least, I would have finished high school. I tried to get free and started to feel some of the webbing stretch a little, but I couldn't reach my machete to cut the threads. It would take me hours to get out if I was lucky. The spider might get hungry before I make any progress. "Are you a virgin?" August asked without warning. I was so focused on my struggle, I didn't notice August had changed until my face was near his. 4 deep cuts appeared in his skin with his eyes turning a pitch black. A tube-like tongue with a pointed end came from his mouth, stretching to reach me. I shouted as I pulled my head back as far as I would go. "Put that away!" The tongue wiggled more, mocking me. It was gross as hell, but I understood what he was trying to get at. Virgin blood gave supernatural creatures a great deal of strength. If August was asking for some of my blood, he was in bad shape. "Do I look like one to you?" I hissed back. His silence was insulting. It wasn't any of his business, but I'm not. August appeared disappointed he wasn't getting a free meal. With some effort, he tore through his webbing. Using his sharp claws, he cut me free, letting me drop the painful few inches to the ground, and to my displeasure, ripping my new coat. "I just bought this," I said while pointing out the rips. He shrugged, his face back to normal. I followed behind, considering my choices. Leaving was an option, but leaving didn't pay my bills. It didn't even cover a new jacket. I didn't know how deep we had been dragged into the mine. I needed August to help me get out of here. I doubted he wanted to leave a job unfinished. "Let's ditch," he said over his shoulder. I stopped in my tracks, confused. The spider wasn't that strong. His strength greatly outclassed it, and he needed the money. So why did he offer to leave? To protect me? No. He shouldn't care if I died. If I did, he most likely would eat my body and lie that I was never here in the first place. No matter the reason why he wanted to leave, we did not get that option. The spider got the jump on us again. It fell from the ceiling, causing us to scatter. I pulled out my weapon, my body still feeling stiff. I raised the blade just in time to knock aside a leg going for my throat. With the two of us, the spider had issues focusing its attacks. It was fast. I didn't stand a chance alone. For the first time, I felt glad August was there. I looked over at him in the dim cave to watch his movements. He looked stressed. Was it because he was overworked? No, this was different. An expression of fear had come over his face. I forgot how stupid I was at times. I didn't know what kind of creature August was. From what I've seen, he appeared to be part insect. Most insect supernatural creatures had a fear of spiders ingrained into their very soul. Even if he was stronger than this monster, that fear held him back. I dodged another leg attack. I slipped, hitting the ground hard. My machete didn't cut through the legs, only knocked them aside. "August, you can kill this thing!" I shouted at him, my voice echoing. He looked at me, lips tight and face pale. A noise came from him that said more than words ever could. He was well aware if he fought back, he could win. But the sheer terror of spiders won out. Damn it. I had a chance of living if I left him here to die, making a run for it while the spider was busy sucking out his insides. I wouldn't get paid though. I faced a spider I couldn't kill on my own. My only weapon was not strong enough to even make a dent. I wasn't in enough shape to get the spider's weak spots, like the eyes. My only hope being a useless, scared as hell contract worker. I shouldn't be too hard on him. I was also a scared as hell contract worker. The only difference is I was scared because I didn't have any power. August caught my attention with a calm smile. He silently gave me permission to leave him behind. What an idiot. He's going to take care of his kid if he dies here. I can barely take care of myself. A spider, a machete, August. Instead of running for my life, I did the only other thing I could think of. While dodging the fast legs of the spider, I ran over to August. I brought the blade down into his stomach, the metal cutting into his flesh without any resistance. Ow! A very offended cry rang out, bouncing off the walls. I expected more swearing. The wound wasn't enough to kill him, only to make him lose some blood. I then turned heel and ran for it. August clutched his bleeding stomach as his face shifted. Claws came out ready to attack. I wasted no time sliding under the spider's body. The rocks tore up my exposed skin, but it was better than being dead. Most supernatural creatures will go feral and attack anything around them near death. Their goal is to eat any flesh to help them recover and heal. Since the spider was the biggest target in the room, August would go for that first. Using the last of his strength, August rapidly crawled up one of the spider's long legs to get to the head. His face opened in segments to come down, ripping into the tough shell. Within seconds, he had his entire head buried inside the other creature. Purple blood burst from the wound. I pressed against the wall to avoid the erratic movements of the dying spider, unable to get August off. I almost felt bad for it. Finally, it was over. After he ate his fill, he started towards me. He cleaned enough blood from his face to show how much a good meal did for him. The wound I gave him long since healed. Fucking ow, he repeated to get his point across. Self-defense, I muttered. Bullshit. To his credit, he only punched my shoulder. August was oddly forgiving. He made me a deal that if I helped cook dinner for Lucas that night, he would drop the whole stabbing him thing. I didn't mind. I could at the very least get cleaned up in a bathroom larger than 2 feet wide. We reported the spider had been killed, but admitted we were aware that another may be still inside the mine. Seeing money in my account was a nice feeling. It almost made nearly getting eaten by a spider worth it. I wasn't the best cook, but better than August it seemed. So far, he'd been ordering out or reheating pre-made meals. Lucas needed something better than that. I told August he needed to learn how to cook, but with him so busy with his job, it made it hard taking on another task. At least the takeout he ordered was full meals and not all fast food. I was amazed at how well Lucas was doing. He didn't talk much, which was understandable, but he made the effort to make eye contact. He didn't smile much either, at least not with me. August was the only person who got a real smile out of the kid. Before I left for the night, Lucas met me by the door. To my shock, he hurried over and hugged my leg. "Bye, Uncle," came a tiny voice. He rushed off, clearly embarrassed by the exchange. If I didn't care about that kid before, now I very much did. But my face dropped when I looked up to see August overjoyed over the new development. So far, we bumped into each other by chance. I now worried there was no longer going to be any luck involved. I felt doomed to now see August far more often than I would like. Here, I just wanted to do a few jobs to cover my bills. Monster hunting is tricky. No matter what, it'll take over your life regardless of how hard you try to avoid it.